Well, I took the hood and I weighed it, and then I weighed the old steel hood, and I weighed this. This only weighs 6.5 pounds, and the stock hatch weighs 20 without glass. And I'll be putting Lexan in here, so I'll save a bunch more weight on that. And then the hood, instead of weighing 30 pounds, weighed 16 pounds, so, or 17 pounds. So it's we're saving some decent weight just on the metal replacement on these two parts, never mind the bumpers that are also going to be carbon and aluminum. I've started the fitting process, so the first thing here is I had to, make some cuts already. So I've cut this lip here and the one on the other side back because it was curved in too much. And then I got the gaps. They're quite tight actually along here, but they look good. They're maybe 3/16 instead of 1/4 of an inch. This gap here is just in this one corner is too wide, so I will have to cut into the carbon fiber, and then I'll use the short strand Kevlar to build it out just in this one corner here. I've been profiling the top. It sort of came up a little bit up too much, and then it was cut off roughly. It's as I said, these things aren't finished pieces when you get them. So what I did is I've smoothed the curve, so I've leveled it off a little bit, provided a little bit of a taper on the top here to match this curve here, and then I've started the process of rounding it a bit, and now it clearances nicely. If I open the hood, a little gymnastics here, but if I open the hood, even with the tape, I've got probably 25-30 thou in the center there, worst case, and I'll profile it a bit more. So I have clearance, and so what I'll be doing is once I roughen the surface up, I will then run the putty knife down here, and I will fill in this. There's a little gap here. If I take a piece of rubber and I set it here, and I run it. And then I run it down, you'll start to see gap open up, and then that's the gap I'm going to fill as we go around the corner. And again down at the bottom here, I will be trying to fill a little bit of a gap, so we'll build this section out so that it tapers and lines up here perfectly. So that I'll have to do that around, and then in the back here I've got this little wobble here, and you can see it a little more clearly when I flip it up. There's no support in the center, so over here it's all braced up, and so the rear edge is in the right shape. But as soon as it gets to the point where this is free suspended, this piece here, it's floppy. I can move it around with my fingers. I'm not going to try to heat it and push it into position, because I don't think it'll hold because it's carbon fiber, but I will just have to fill that out about 1/4 of an inch, if you can believe it looks like, in the center, and then taper it down to 0 here. Maybe it's only 1/8, but I think it's more like 1/4. We'll see. And then the back will have the right shape, so the top has got the right curve, and then the bottom will have the same profile to it, and then we're good. So I don't think it's going to take nearly as much effort as the hood. I was getting a little worried that it was a complicated shape and there was lots to be done, but I got my little disc grinding tool there, my little die grinder, which is a beautiful thing with a very thin blade, and I was able to very quickly trim the edges and get it to rough in. And now it's up to me to take the next step and to start mudding it and filling it and getting the gaps just right, and that's gonna get painted this week, so I'm happy already. I don't feel quite as stressed as I did the first time I bolted it on and looked at it. So I started doing the edge work, and then my brain twigged in and went, oh, I should probably mount the lights. So I've got the original lights over here. One of them's got a crack in it, and they're just otherwise a little worn out looking, but you'll notice there's black between each lens, and then black on the top and black on the bottom. And then you look at the ones in their Gila, and they got the Volkswagen stamp on them, but who knows. Anyway, they're clear, on the top and the bottom and clear in between. So I'm going to have to paint those. No problem. I've got plastic paint. I've got semi-gloss black, which will make them look the same as the other ones. Took a little while to get these to fit. I've took the gaskets out of the back of them. These gaskets here, because really to get everything to fit, at least for now, I'll put the gaskets back in. I may have to trim them, but I have to have these ones pretty much touching, the lenses pretty much touching on the inside. Funny, it's the factory. This is sticking out because I've also put the seal in all the way around, because the seal is affecting things as well. So I put the seal in, and I have to get the latch installed so that this will close all the way. So I have to go back to my storage locker and grab that. But this body panel here is not shaped correctly. This body panel should actually go in more vertical, and then this should come out. So this should have a little bit of a V shape. If you go to the other side here, there's this, it's a little subtle, but it goes in just a tiny amount here, and so when this closes, everything lines up, and this lens is following the line correctly. On this side, it has no such indentation. In fact, this goes out a little bit, and so it doesn't line up with the lens here. So it's one of these optical things. I can either try to extend the metalwork out with some filler to fill in this gap, or, which I'm pretty sure I'm going to do, is I'm going to sacrifice a little bit of the lens and just trim a very small amount, maybe just over 1/8 of an inch at the top, and square that lens to the body, and then I think that'll be a compromise that'll survive. I mean, these cars, as I said, were never perfect, especially, I'm sure the German ones were better than the American ones, but if you look at every major bolt, there's always a slot and an adjustment range. I mean, these guys were fitting and moving and shifting things around to get them to fit, and these rear lenses have got the same issue. They've got slotted holes. So anyway, when I get the latch installed, then I can finish profiling the edges. This up here has to be extended, the other side has to be trimmed back. A little bit more work around here, but I've got a couple passes of the filler on, and it's starting to square up. So a little more work than I might have been planning, but it's like the front fenders and the hood. You've got to get everything mounted and fiddle and compromise here and there, and then you get it to where you need it to be. So anyway, that's my progress for now.